Welcome to the Moms Making Money Show. I have a special guest here, and today we're going to talk about all the usual stuff about starting a business and being a woman entrepreneur, but Dawn has something extra special for us. She is certified in EFT, which is also known as tapping, and she's going to educate us a little bit on exactly what that is and exactly what that means. I would try to give you the rundown, but I don't want to be responsible for messing it up. She's also got a really, really cool offer and gift for you guys. So stay tuned till the end, and we will definitely make sure that we give you guys the information on what to do with that. So if you're hopping on live, be sure to hop on, say hello, tell us where you're from, ask any questions. And then if you're catching the replay, please feel free to type in replay and also any questions that you have or any comments. So let's get started. I want to introduce Dawn. Dawn, tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of how you got into this. Like, what led you on this particular journey to start your own business?
Okay, yeah. So I was actually a math teacher, sixth grade, for like over 10 years. And when my daughter was born, she was a preemie. So she was about 2 months early. And like the first year of the struggles of a preemie, right? And working as a teacher, I just could not handle the workload. It was like overload with everything going on. So I decided I really needed a flexible schedule.
Right.
So I actually landed an awesome job as a curriculum writer. So I could work from home. I could take care of her. I could be somewhat flexible with doctor's appointments and things like that. But then I decided that, and part of that job was actually a lot of traveling, presenting different, conferences or workshops or groups of teachers. And as I started doing that, I started noticing that it's like, no matter how great of a teacher you are, no matter how awesome your lessons are, if the kids are not emotionally available to learn, it's not going to make a difference, right? So then I started really diving into like the emotional wellness part. And I came across EFT in that journey, and I was just like hooked. Like, I just absolutely loved the technique. I loved the value that this technique was bringing to my own life. I loved how it was changing me. I was able to manage my stress and overwhelm and all the craziness that came with a premature baby who had a lot of health issues the first year. She's 6 now. She's doing great. But, that year or that, 2 years was just really hard. So this technique helped me tremendously.
Awesome. So we've got
so glad that I found it.
We've got Cindy and Isabel hopping on saying hi. Hi, ladies.
Welcome. Thanks for joining.
So at what point did you decide that you wanted to like shift this into like your go-to business and make it like your thing, like your full-time thing?
Yeah. So I mean, it was so exciting to be able to make some money, right? Support my family, be home with my kids. Hopefully my 6-year-old she's not going to interrupt us. She's in the other room doing some stuff, but
totally fine if she does.
Yeah. To be able to be home with my kids. I have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, to make some money to contribute to the household, but also to be providing such awesome value and to be sharing my work with so many different people. I mean, the internet is amazing. There's literally no cap on the impact that we can have. And it was, I think, January of 2016, where I officially quit the full-time, corporate kind of job, my remote job. And then I was able to like really dive into being my own boss and just creating my own schedule, my own, dream life. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you first started transitioning into this, before that day that you were like, see you later, 9 to 5, what kind of fears came up for you? And like, even in the beginning of your business, what kind of fears or like self-doubt or even like outside chatter like came up for you that maybe like had you like, should I actually do this? Like, is this the right thing to do? Like, talk a little bit about that and how you overcame that.
Yeah, those are awesome questions. So like for a long time, I had crazy money blocks. So I was like, I just felt like I had to prove something, in order to actually start like charging. You always hear, charge your worth, raise your prices, all these dream clients are going to come in. And like, none of that was happening for me for a while. And I kept doing like free sessions, and then I would do more free sessions. And it was like this vicious cycle. So I was literally blocking myself from receiving. I was giving, but not receiving. So I was like not in a good flow. But I didn't think I could really charge, because I'm like, I'm kind of new, even though like the results are good, like who am I to do this, right? Right? And then I started seeing like so many people having such great success with their online business. And it was that like, I'm not there yet. I don't deserve that yet. I have to put in the hours of hustle. I have to do all this stuff before I can start reaping any rewards or benefits. And then my husband was super supportive for a while. And then as soon as my business started shifting, it was literally like the week before I had this huge shift in my business and the, the money that was coming in, the clients I was getting. He actually said, he's like, okay, at what point are you going to decide that like you should just give this up, Yeah, and I was like, and I was so confusing because he had been so supportive for so long, and he was like, what is going to make you decide that it's just time to move on? And I always thought in my head, that saying that's like, everyone always quits when they're 3 inches from success, and then I pushed through, and then the next week, things just started exploding, and opportunities just started coming in, and connections that I had been like nurturing started, really happening. And, so, there were so many limiting beliefs that I had, and things stemming back from childhood, like money, you have to work hard for your money. Right. Like there's just so many things that our parents, not knowing, right, totally unintentionally, kind of plant these seeds in our heads that we now have to like weed out, Yeah,
literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's very common, where maybe so I know a lot of ladies have different stories where maybe their husband or partner is unsupportive from the get-go, right? Mm-hmm. And some of them work through it and prove them wrong. Some of like the leaders in various MLMs, that's like their story, right? Like, oh, my husband told me like, no, there's no way in heck you're doing this. And they did it anyways. And now they're, up at the top. But there's also, I feel like there's a lot of different types of stuff, like, and, like with your husband, like, okay, like you've, this hobby has consumed enough of your time already, like, tell it to go away type of thing. But I'm so glad that you didn't. I'm so glad that you persevered. And the other thing that you said about being 3 inches away, that I feel like is so true. Like the reason I started this show is because I feel like so many women quit before they ever really get a good start. Like there's, lumps and bumps in the beginning while you're just trying to figure out which direction to even go. And I feel like between, maybe an unsupportive partner or unsupportive family, unsupportive friends, unsupportive like Facebook network, like even though you don't even really know a lot of those people, like or you're worried what they're going to say, like the fear of what other people think, all of that stuff. Or maybe someone told you it was stupid or a scam, or, like maybe somebody has no idea, like for you, like what EFT even is. And they're like, that's some crazy voodoo magic, like whatever, like, okay, witch doctor lady, like, and a lot of times we let that get in our heads, right? And then we quit. We stop before we ever make a single sale, before we ever, really get a chance to get our message out there in the world. And then we're just like, oh, I can't do it because this guy said it was voodoo magic, or it was something stupid, or it was a scam, or whatever. And we allow that to consume us. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I feel like that's the reality for so many women, whether they're starting an MLM, they're starting, life coaching, business coaching, whatever their thing is. And, because a lot of people don't actually understand, and it kind of goes back, to how we were raised. This internet thing wasn't around when all of us were, little tiny kids. Like,
Yeah.
so it's new. And a lot of people are like, I don't understand how you can have a business serving others and helping others, whether you're a consultant or whatever, in a virtual way. So because of that old school mindset of you've got to go in, you've got to punch that time clock, you've got to pay your dues, you've got to do all these things. And it's hard for some people to even grasp the whole concept of what a lot of us do. Mm-hmm. So they have, they just voice these negative opinions, not even realizing that it gives us like that negative connotation, but they feel like they're doing us a favor by telling us like, you shouldn't get involved with that. That's a scam. Like, or you shouldn't do that. You should get a real job or whatever, not realizing like, hey, like, look at all us women out here and men too, like totally crushing it in our dream jobs, our dream careers as business owners.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So, I wanted to talk a little bit more about exactly what EFT is and give us a little bit of a rundown of like how, like about your business and what exactly you do with EFT and tapping and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So EFT also stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques and tapping. Tapping is kind of like the common way. And what it does is it combines, or the common term. So it combines psychology with acupressure. So we literally tap on certain parts of our body and we bring our brain's attention to something that's going on. If it's a limiting belief, if it's a negative emotion, a physical pain. EFT also works for like traumas and past negative experiences, but there's a lot of ways to tap through those things without actually re-traumatizing. So it's very interesting. But as we bring our brain's attention to something that's going on, and for entrepreneurs, a lot of times I work with them on their beliefs, their limiting beliefs. And as we bring our brain's attention to that, we're literally changing our brain's response to something. So we're like reprogramming our brain to have a different response to a particular trigger. The trigger could be, the emotion, the belief, whatever's going on, maybe an event or a person who said something. There's so many different things. But there is a change in our emotional brain as we're tapping, which is amazing. And it also with entrepreneurs, a lot of times as we're tapping through, let's say perfectionism, because that's a huge thing. That
I'm recovering perfectionist.
And see, I never, I'm so not like that. So sometimes it's hard for me to understand how somebody could like be working on a blog post for a month and, or take 3 weeks to pick out a dress or, whatever it is. But as we're tapping on something, and perfectionism is huge. I mean, it's like a huge time waster and energy drainer, right? As we're tapping on that, we're literally lifting ourselves out of that vicious cycle so we can see things from a totally different view. And then it's like, wow, we get a new idea. We have a breakthrough. We see exactly how we're draining our energy, wasting our time. Where is our attention, right? Because we are where our attention is. So if your attention is on, I don't know, whatever, then everything is there. Your energy is there. And then what about all these other things that are actually going to grow our business, right? Because we get stuck in that busy cycle because it kind of feels safe to us.
Right.
But then as we're tapping, we can break through that comfort zone so that it's okay for us to kind of take that next step to really grow, to put ourselves out there. One thing that happened for me as I was, doing all this work at first, and I was really kind of like busting out of my shell, was the first time I wrote a Facebook post that had like over 50 people were interested.
Oh, nice.
I literally panicked. Like I was like, oh my God, not in a good way. Like I got so scared because I was like, how am I going to handle this? It opened up a whole new limiting belief.
Yeah.
That I almost wanted there just to be like one or two or maybe like it fell on deaf ears. Like nobody responded because that was kind of safer.
Yep.
But then when all these people were interested in, you know, a session or a package or a group or whatever that I was doing, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle it? You know, so with tapping, we're able to really help ourselves literally get out of our own way, you know, and with entrepreneurs, the limiting beliefs keep us stuck for so long. And then we need to like bust through those and start seeing the success that we start having the success that we want, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I love that. Would you be willing to take us through like, and like, not like a full tapping session, but a little bit on like some things for like perfectionism? It's super funny that you actually mentioned that. I was just having a conversation with our friend Mary. She comes and watches the boys on Thursdays, and she's like a lifelong family friend, and she's practically family, right? So, and we were actually talking about how in history, I actually told her, I'm like, I'm going to write an email about this today. She was like, I heard like a radio show, and I think I heard the same one yesterday, that men are like brought up and trained by their parents and society, like subconsciously, and taught to be brave, whereas women are taught to be perfect.
Oh my goodness.
Show up in a perfect kind of way. So I feel like those of us who are perfectionists, whether it's in your home, and like for me, like I have like super OCD, like all my shirts have to like hang the same way. I have all the same color hangers. Like I don't have like, if there's a white hanger mixed in with my black hangers, it like freaks me out, right? And for the longest time, like even starting a blog, I was like, I got to get this right. I ended up writing like 10 or something blog posts before I ever published my blog, because I was like, I can't have a blog, like a website blog with only one blog post. Like I have to have content here. Like people have to be like, I built out a full website before I ever launched it, because I like I said, I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Wow. Yeah. And you're definitely not the only one. That's a very common. I'm
trying to let it go. And then it's funny because it's so funny because it's like the tone of my entire week, right? Like I'm trying to let go of some of that stuff. And I feel like this relates to a lot of you guys. So I'll share my story. I had someone critique my website and some of the spelling and grammar and whatever, even though I use like the Grammarly app and it kind of shows me, like, I just looked at like the main pages. I'm like, huh, seems okay to me, you know? And then, so that like really like was kind of like, damn, like someone told me my website was kind of like, my copy was crappy. Like, damn, that sucks. Like I even hired a copywriter, you know, like.
Did you ask for the advice?
No.
Oh.
Which, you know, like, and if you had like told me like, Amie, I just happened to notice like on your sales page, the word this, or this was spelled like totally wrong and it makes it look kind of wacky. Like I would have been like, oh my God, thank you so much. I'm going to go fix it. But I like scoured my webpage and whatever. And then I've had so many other people this week. Like I talked with like a social media marketing expert yesterday, and he was like, your website's fantastic. And then like, you know, someone came, like Mary was like, hey, I was looking at your website again today and I really love it. Like, you know, so it's kind of like, it's really funny that this is like the tone of my entire week. And even I had like some trial, like tech issues that occurred for me this week, and I like had to overcome those, and we still don't know what the issue was. We just found a workaround. So it's like all these different like trials about things just working perfectly, and they don't always. So I just feel, I don't know, maybe it's the universe is like, all right, let's get this perfectionist stuff out there. So it's so funny that was the, like what you brought up is one of the things, because I feel like it's like, I don't know, maybe that's it.
Yeah, no, it's so real, and it really like anchors us to that, you know, place that we want to kind of break out of. So yeah, I can definitely lead us through a round on tapping. So as we're tapping, we can often see huge results in a pretty short amount of time. So tap along with us. I'll do maybe like a couple minutes, maybe like a 2 or 3 minute round. In 2 or 3 minutes, we can accomplish a ton with tapping, which is super, super cool. So as we're tapping, there's 5 steps. The first step is identify what we're tapping on. Is it a pain, a belief, which it will be in this case, a negative emotion, stress, overwhelm, whatever entrepreneurs, working moms, right? Whatever we deal with kind of on a daily basis. And then is it like a trauma or something, which is, we're not going to go and get into that now. But so we identify that. Then we kind of measure how intense that emotion is for us, or in this case, belief. So how much do we believe this is true, that I am a perfectionist? Like if I say that, or if you say that to yourself, how much do you believe that that's true on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 being, nope, not a perfectionist. I'll put myself out there even before I'm ready because I know things are going to work out fine in some way. Or 10, everything has to be perfect for my life to be in flow, for it to be okay. So how much do you believe that's true? You don't have to tell anybody this. You could just keep it in your head. So that's the second step. The third step, we're going to accept, and this is how we're going to start the process. We're going to accept that even though we have this belief that things have to be perfect, there's nothing wrong with us. So it's okay that we have this belief. We're not broken or weird or crazy, but we're just accepting it. Then after we do that, we're going to go through the tapping points and we're going to process this belief and then hopefully be able to let this belief go.
Okay.
Right. So that's the process. And then we check in with our number, we call it a SUD score, which is like, okay, now if we say that things have to be perfect, how much do you believe it now? And then we kind of reevaluate. And that number, the only reason we have that number is to measure how our tapping worked. If our number is higher now, then we believe it even more, then you know what? We're not tapping on the right belief. We just have to kind of reevaluate.
Okay.
So it doesn't really say like tapping's not working for us. It's just this weird thing that doesn't work for me. That number just gives us a scale on, or a temperature check on like where to go next.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So think about on a scale of 0 to 10, how true does the sentence, everything has to be perfect, feel to you? How true does that feel to you? 7? Okay, cool.
Only because I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Yes. All right, so now we're going to start the process. We're going to start tapping on the side of our hand. So this
Does it matter which hand?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're going to say and repeat after me, even though I believe everything has to be perfect.
Even though I believe everything has to be perfect.
I'm doing a great job.
I'm doing a great job.
Even though I believe everything has to be perfect.
Even though I believe everything has to be perfect.
I'm doing the best I can.
I'm doing the best I can.
Even though I believe everything has to be perfect in my life and business.
Even though I believe everything has to be perfect in my life and business.
I'm doing a great job.
I'm doing a great job.
We're going to move to the top of the head. I believe everything has to be perfect.
I believe everything has to be perfect.
Like kind of the inside of the eyebrow. This belief that everything has to be perfect.
This belief that everything has to be perfect.
The side of the eye. I believe everything has to be perfect.
I believe everything has to be perfect.
Under the eye. Everything has to be perfect.
Everything has to be perfect.
I believe that this is true.
I believe that this is true. It's hard to say that and talk it.
This belief.
This belief.
Now let's take a deep breath here. This belief, everything has to be perfect.
This belief that everything has to be perfect.
I believe everything has to be perfect.
Is it like in your armpit or?
Good question. It's like right by where your bra would be.
Okay.
Down a little bit. Everything has to be perfect.
Everything has to be perfect.
Okay. So that's actually one round, the simple way of tapping, but we're going to do another round and we're going to give ourselves permission to let this go.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, I'm ready.
All right. I believe I can let this go.
I believe I can let this go.
I choose to believe that things don't have to be perfect.
I choose to believe that things don't have to be perfect.
I choose to believe things do not have to be perfect. My life will still be fine.
I choose to believe that things don't have to be perfect and my life will still be fine.
It's okay if things aren't perfect.
It's okay if things aren't perfect.
I'm letting go of this idea that everything has to be perfect.
I'm letting go of this idea that everything has to be perfect.
I'm letting this go.
I'm letting it go.
It's safe for me to let this go.
It's safe for me to let this go.
Even though I don't understand why I think everything has to be perfect.
Even though I don't understand why I think everything has to be perfect.
It's okay to let it go.
It's okay to let it go.
Okay. So put your hands over your chest. Take a deep breath. And then check in. You can notice how your body feels. You can notice how true that belief feels to you now. So we're going to kind of check in with that score, that set score. So if you tell yourself, I believe everything has to be perfect, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you believe that now?
I'm right about a 5. So it's
okay.
better than a 7.
Yeah, so it went down a little bit. So so with a tapping round, like in a tapping session, there's a lot of different things that we could do. So like we could talk a little bit more about the perfectionist in you, or like the things that you have to be perfect. And as we tap, we would use your exact words. Okay. So using the exact words and phrases that are true to you is really going to get deeper into the subconscious, so we can start really pulling out this belief. And then over time, we can actually use tapping to reseed our subconscious with new beliefs.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that takes a while, right? Because change doesn't always happen right away. But we can use tapping to actually rewrite our stories. Like I had to rewrite my money story. I had to rewrite my story of worthiness and, fear of being judged and all these things. So, but it takes a little bit of time to get those weeds out first.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And then we could also, so in your case, your score went down a little bit. So we could do a couple different things. We could keep tapping on perfectionism, because that was a super short round. We could keep tapping on that. We could say, okay, Amie, did anything else come up for you as we were tapping? Maybe we'll go down that road now and we'll see how that happens, where that takes us.
Right.
Yeah. What the interesting thing with tapping is that as we open the subconscious doors, the sessions often go down really different paths than what we actually think starting out, There might be a memory from when you were 3 where somebody told you, girls have to be perfect, or, so then it's kind of like going back to that memory. There's so many different things, and it's such a flexible tool that we can use it in so many different ways to help us, which is super fun.
Right. And even like, I think not even, obviously like I have no blame here, but like, I think just like our parents would be like, oh, be a good girl and clean your room, like that type of thing. And so you just kind of have that like subconsciously programmed into you, like, good girls have clean bedrooms and, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So we have a couple comments here. April says, "Oh, very cool. I learned tapping with my first therapist and it helps me so much. That's awesome."
Awesome.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And then Michelle says, "Love this. Learned this from a therapist to control panic attacks."
Yay! That's so cool. So cool that it's helping you.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm gonna let you guys know how I feel about white hangers in my closet in a week.
Yeah, that might be a whole different, even though I feel really crazy when all my hangers aren't white, even though it drives me crazy. Yeah, that could be a whole nother session.
Yeah. And I have no idea where that comes from. I don't know, like for me, like all my hangers are black, and I don't know, like my parents don't have all matching hangers. I have no idea where that came from. So it's just my own wackiness, I think.
Something you can control.
Yeah.
Something that's easy for you to I don't know, have control over.
Well, and it's funny because like I'm very much that way. And so we were at like the tack store with our horse riding trainer, and we were like talking about different kinds of tack and saddles and whatever, and we hadn't purchased saddles yet. And so my husband's asking about like reins and bridles and all these things. I was like, well, whoa. I just like, and I didn't even think twice about it. I'm like, well, I'll wait to get mine until I get my saddle so that the leather matches. So it's the same color leather, because there's like light leather, dark leather, whatever. And they like, my husband just shook his head because he's like used to it by now. But the trainer kind of looked at me like, okay, that's interesting. He goes, of course you do.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, there's something like just I'm wacky that way.
We all have our things, right?
Yes. Well, awesome. That was so awesome. Like thank you for taking the time to give us that demonstration. I'll be walking around like this all weekend now. I realized that the underside of my arm needs some sun.
Oh, one thing really quick that is often super helpful, just tapping on your fingertips, because we have energy points in there. Just tapping on your fingertips will actually send calming waves to your emotional brain and will calm your body. It will I've seen kids do this a lot. I wonder if they just, and not even realizing it, that they just... It feels good. Yeah, a lot of kids do this. This is actually the first thing that I teach kids when I tap with them. So I have a lot of clients that are children, and they really love tapping this way. And anybody can do it anywhere. You're walking to the store, you're walking your dog, you're waiting in line, and you're getting nervous about a lot of people. Just tap on your fingertips and think about the thing that's bothering you. Okay? Think about the thing that's bothering you. I know people are like, well, I just want to think happy things, but we have to weed the garden before we plant the flowers. So would this be something that I could tell my son, like if you have a bad dream, you can like do this with your fingers? Yeah, like if he wakes up scared or something. Yep. Yeah, my 6-year-old is an awesome tapper, and we tap all the time. And this is something that she loves to do. I know I'm talking about you. She's smiling at me. But yeah, this is something that, is just like for us to be able to have a tool to really empower us to help ourselves. It's amazing. But for us to be able to give our kids, hi! But for us to be able to give our kids a tool so they can feel empowered to take care of themselves, I just don't think there's any better gift, right? And cool. Emotional health. So really, it's cool. But yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you probably, if you guys see me doing this, it's because she taught me. No, that's so awesome. So I guess now's probably a good time to talk about Dawn's free gift to you guys. It's a little bit different than the way we typically do things. It's not like a get this checklist type of thing, which are usually always awesome. But actually, the first 20 people who comment, should we do like comment a certain word, like the word tapping or the EFT or something? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so we like to comment like EFT rocks. Okay, yeah. So if you comment EFT rocks, the first 20 people, Dawn's going to actually connect with you and give you a custom tapping video tutorial. So that's huge, you guys. Like, that's so awesome. I'm going to do it 5 times because I need 5 videos to get through my hanger thing.
And my matching horse tack. And but no, that's so awesome. So she's actually going to give you guys each a custom gift. And she said she's willing to do that for the first 20 people who type EFT rocks in the comment thread. And then that will expire, when did you say?
July 20th.
July 20th.
So, well, and I'm going to try to have all the videos back by July 20th. So,
perfect. So again, it's the first 20 people. And then she'll, obviously this can't go on forever. So July 20th will be our cutoff. And be sure you definitely hop in there and get on board with this. So even if you're catching the replay, make sure that, like I said, follow through to the end, type in EFT rocks and get your free session with Dawn.
Awesome. Yay.
Yay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. That was so awesome. Like, I feel all like happy now. Like, I feel like I should go like do something really fun.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so glad to be here and to be able to share EFT with tons of moms who want to, live the dream, right? Have the family, the career, the everything, because it's possible, right? So
yeah. And then how easy is it for you, like, to book it? Like, do you do all of your tapping stuff like virtually? Is it easy for you to do like, set something up to get those one-on-one sessions if we wanted to like actually like hire you and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do most of my sessions are online, except when I work with children, I definitely in person is much better for them. Right. But yeah, you can message me and I can get you connected with, we can set up a call and I can share with you, my packages for my individual sessions. Perfect. And we could definitely go from there. So
awesome. Very cool. Well, there you have it, everybody. Today we kicked perfectionism in the butt. And so I'm still going to send out the email about women being trained to be perfectionists. I'll go ahead and put the replay of this video in there too, because it just all ties together so perfectly. So, you guys, I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited to have done, that was the first time I've ever done any like actual, like, tapping for specific, like real purpose, like, that really speaks to me, Yeah. I have a client who is into tapping. And so she guided me through some for like stress and stuff, but I wasn't feeling stressed at the time that I did. Mm-hmm. I was in a nice relaxed state. So this one, like being a perfectionist, it kind of sits with you all the time. Whereas being stressed, I think sometimes can come and go. I have somebody else who once asked me, a different one of my clients, she asked me about, or actually asked this other client of mine about PTSD and tapping. Like, is that like a thing?
Yes. Tapping actually reprograms your amygdala. So the amygdala, right? The fight, flight, freeze response. Tapping reprograms the amygdala to have a different, sorry, to have the real life. So tapping reprograms your amygdala to have a different response to a trigger. So I actually do a lot of work with veterans. They have amazing results between like 6 to 8 sessions. It's kind of like the sweet spot. Amazing results. And I'm actually launching another company soon called Operation Connect. So if you're interested at all, it's operationconnectvets.com. And I have 3 business partners. We're all kind of focusing on the different aspects to a veteran's successful post-military transition. But to answer your question, yes, tapping is incredibly effective to help with PTSD and traumas. Yeah, very, very cool. Good. Oh, what an artist. Your hand to tap. So this is you and that's your hand.
That's awesome. What a little artist.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I'll let you get back to hanging out with her and all of her pretty little art. What she's going to be like the next Bob Ross. You just watch. But thank you again. Thank you so much. I feel like, I don't know, I feel really good about this. I'm super excited to have just done that. And what a great interview, you guys. So make sure you guys put in EFT Rocks. Take advantage of this super generous offer, you guys. And also be sure to click over and follow Dawn on her pages. Her her link to her page is on here on Facebook is just posted up above in the I don't even know the description, the video description. And so be sure you follow her and make sure that you stay in tune with her new operation for vets, and get yourself whatever EFT resources that you need from her.
Oh, thank you. Bye, guys.
See you guys later.